Okay. Look, I met with the grain producers of Australia last week, and they're still not obviously happy with the increase in the levy from 1% to 1.1%. As I mentioned earlier today, the turnover, or the amount of revenue that the grain industry now generates is over $30 billion. Can you explain why it's needed to lift the levy from 1% to 1.1%, given which is another?
Are you Senator Rennick? Just confirm, you're definitely talking about the Biosecurity Protection Levy, because there are a range of other levies as well.
I'm talking about the one that's going, yes, the Biosecurity Levy / tax. It's going from 1% to 1.1%.
Well, I don't know if you heard my opening statement this morning, Senator Rennick, but we have listened to feedback received from the industry about this levy, and we've made a decision to change the way it will be calculated.
Right,
so
okay.
It wouldn't be, what did you say, 1.1%?
Yeah, so
yeah, it's a different methodology now.
So what are you going to do?
Well, I can get the officials to take you through the detail, but...
Aren't you around the detail, Murray?
Well...
You are the minister, and this is something you're responsible for regulation.
So, as I was saying, I can get the officials to take you through the detail.
I'd like you to take me through the detail.
I said the word
Murray.
but, and I was about to give you some information about it. In short, we have decided to base the levy on what's known as the gross value of production of a particular industry. So a particular industry's share of overall agricultural production, that will determine the share of the additional biosecurity protection levy that they pay. The old method, the methodology that we announced when we first announced the new levy, was that it was going to be essentially around 10% extra on top of the levies that particular industries were already paying. So that's why I think you're probably thinking about 1.1% or whatever the figure you said was. We're no longer going down that path because of feedback we received from GPA and others. And we've gone with a different methodology. But if you'd like any more detail
can you walk me through that methodology, please?
Sure. Why don't I get the official to take you through it?
Can you do it?
Well, I've tried to give you the headline details, but to give you an example, the barley industry represents, between 2019-20 and 2021-22, was about 4.7% average share of agriculture, fisheries and forestry production. So under the new methodology, the barley industry or barley producers will pay in total 4.7% of the $50 million that was expected to be raised by the levy. So that works out to $2.3 million contribution towards that levy from barley producers.
So is it going to be capped at $50 million every year, is it?
That's the plan. When we announced, this was all part of the sustainable biosecurity funding package that we announced at the last budget, where we significantly increased money from taxpayers for biosecurity and locked in a stable funding level year to year, which Australia has never had before. We also increased levies and fees and charges on importers, something that
so that was an issue these guys had, was that they wanted a container levy.
I'm well aware of that.
So is that going to happen or not?
Well, we are still making a decision about that, but as I have told that group, the GPA, and many other farmers groups, but unfortunately they haven't yet recognised, we have increased the levies and fees and charges on importers that they pay when they bring things into the country in a way that no government has ever done. So importers are already paying more to bring things in and make a contribution towards biosecurity, and that was something, I have to say it, the former government didn't do. The former government wasn't charging importers the full cost of biosecurity services that the department was providing. Now importers are, and that means that they're paying. They've already chipped in something like $30 million extra just this financial year so far, more than what they were paying. But we did also say that we thought it was reasonable for producers, as primary beneficiaries of strong biosecurity, that their livelihoods depend upon. We thought it was reasonable for them to make a modest contribution. Originally, the proposal was that they would effectively pay about 10% more on the levies they're already paying.
Yep.
There was a lot of feedback that people thought that wasn't a fair way to calculate it. It wasn't equitable because some industries charge their producers higher levies than others. Some industries don't charge their producers levies at all.
Yep.
And what we've settled on, based on that feedback, is that we will charge producers basically the share of 50 million that their industry contributes towards production for.
Okay, so with that in mind, thanks for the answer, by the way.
Is that enough
with that
detail
in
for you?
mind, given that farmers already pay, tax, income tax, and then they pay GST on top of that, why do we even charge levies at all? I mean, why do agricultural sectors have to pay levies when other sectors don't? I mean, why don't universities, for example, pay a levy on their foreign students'
Well,
income? I mean, they don't pay any tax.
you're sort of going to levies more broadly now, and it's been a supported on both sides of politics, I thought, system for probably back to John Kerrin's days as agriculture minister. So what, 40, 40
okay,
years?
and I accept that.
That industries,
so you won't have me arguing that point.
So industries decided a long time ago that there was a system that was devised between government and the ag industry, that things like marketing of commodities would be jointly funded between government and industry. Things like research and development in agriculture would be jointly funded between government and industry. And industry, the research and development corporations, some of whom are going to come tonight, they charge they charge their particular producers or industries a levy to help fund that research and development and marketing.
Okay, so does this levy include marketing, does it? Or I thought there was a separate levy. Yeah, there is.
No, that's what I was trying to clarify. So
I can live with a levy for marketing.
Sorry?
I can live with a levy for marketing because obviously that's something, you're doing big trade deals and you're going to sell bulk tonnage, so, you can't ring up every little, say if it was India, for example, every farmer or wholesaler in India. But I just don't know why it comes to biosecurity, farmers have to pay a third time over.
Well, I don't know where you're getting the third time.
Well, income tax, GST.
But the
you
point
buy
is
beer.
that, I guess the point is that I've forgotten, Senator Rennick, you're from Chinchilla originally.
Yeah.
So a shopkeeper.
The maternity, that's the town that the maternity ward was shut down.
So
I think you were part of the Labor government, state Labor government.
I think
for a
you're
while,
getting
Murray.
Like it wasn't shut down.
One of 30 maternity wards shut down.
Getting well on track
You're here to
now.
argue with Murray.
So to take an example that you're familiar with, Chinchilla.
Yeah.
A shopkeeper in Chinchilla, or a school cleaner in Chinchilla, or a truckie in Chinchilla, anyone in Chinchilla, they pay towards biosecurity through their taxes.
That's right.
I think it's as does a farmer. I think it's
as do all the shops.
Okay,
I think
ladies
it's
and
reasonable
gentlemen,
to
it is
ask.
6:30.
Yep,
Sorry,
just very quickly.
I'll let
I
you
think it's
finish.
reasonable to ask a farmer in Chinchilla, who is very big, is benefiting from biosecurity more than the school cleaner, the truckie, the others in Chinchilla. I think it's reasonable to ask them to pay a very small contribution towards biosecurity services that protect their livelihoods.
Yeah, and that's right. So you collect $50 million. Because it was 1% of 30 billion is going to collect 300 million.
Lunch.
All right? We won't be much longer, Chair. So like 50 million, it's hardly worth the administrative costs, is it? I mean, collecting the levy.
Well, there's one place you won't.
No, well,
It's
I mean,
not
if that was your view,
You got the chair up there.
you'd probably say that it's not worth collecting money from importers either. And I think it's fair that importers contribute to.
Well, they're the ones bringing the risk in.
Yeah, and that's why they're paying a huge amount more than producers. The new system that we've got in place will have taxpayers from 2024-25. Taxpayers will bear 44% of the cost of our biosecurity protection services. Importers will contribute 48%, producers 6%, and people who send through stuff through Australia Post 2%. So, importers are paying 8 times as much.
Or just under 50%.
Yep.
Okay, righto. Thank you.
Authorised G. Rennick, LNP Chermside.